All right, welcome back. This is session 4, kind of an appendix. There's more about this prophecy of Ezekiel, in Isaiah. You know, the hairs that he cuts off his head in Ezekiel 4 and 5. He says shave with his hair as a razor. Well, the same thing comes in Isaiah 7. In Isaiah 7, which is about Ephraim getting destroyed. We'll go back and pick up the context of it. But in verse 20, it talks about when back in 19 actually, 18, he shall come to pass that Yahuwah shall hiss or whistle for the fly that's in the uttermost parts of the rivers of Egypt. That's troops. And for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. The bee is troops. I think Psalm 118:12 tells you that bees are troops. And going on, they shall come to rest in the desolate valleys in verse 19. This is Isaiah chapter 7, verse 19. In the holes of the rocks, upon the thorns, and in all the bushes. In the same day shall the Almighty shave with a razor that is hired, namely by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the feet, and it shall also consume the beard. So the shaving of the hair, like Ezekiel did, is here in Isaiah also. And it's talking about the exact same event, this end event. And the hair of the people. And he's saying in this one, he's going to shave the hair of your head and your beard and what's between your legs, too. You're going to be shaved bald, and the hairs are the people. How do we know this? Well, we can go back. You can go back and forth. Go back to chapter 5. And he tells you in 5:7, for the vineyard of Yahuwah of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. So this is about... I'm going on. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression. For righteousness, but behold a cry. There's terrible oppression from 2 million children stolen out of families' homes every year over here in America. And terrible oppression in the world from the house of Israel and house of Judah. And everyone calls it good. It's really crazy. These Christians think it's good, but this is what he's looking for: is righteousness and judgment. But it's getting oppression and a cry, and he talks about in verse 9, of a truth many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without an inhabitant. That's over here in Ephraim, USA. He's talking about the house of Israel. This destruction that comes at the end of the 430 years. And he goes down, because therefore my people are gone into captivity, verse 13, because they have no knowledge. This is 5:13 of Isaiah. And they don't. Their honorable men are famished, their multitude are dried up with thirst. This is what's coming upon us. Therefore hell, or the grave, has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. This is more what's coming. Lots of people dead. 15, the mean man's brought down. The mighty man shall be humbled. The eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. Yeah, that's all your priests and preachers with lofty and haughty eyes looking down at people. Yeah, it's just disgusting. They don't keep the commandments of Yahuwah. Going on, but Yahuwah of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and God that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness. Verse 18, woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as it were with a cart rope. I did a study on Jonah, and he talks about that vanity. And, you should go back and listen to that. That's real good, too. Sin as it were with a cart. They drag along this sin with a cart rope. They think they're going to go to the kingdom, doing everything contrary to Yahuwah's law? I don't think so. That's not what he says. Verse 19, they say, let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it. That's what they want. Oh, he's coming back soon. The rapture's going to happen. Boy, are they sorely deceived. Going on, let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. That's what people, but in Amos 5, he says, 5:18, woe unto them that desire the day of Yahuwah. What will it be unto them? It's a day of evil, not good. Why? Going on here in Isaiah 5:20, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. That is Christians and Catholics and Jews and almost everybody. Anybody not keeping these commandments. Why? Because they call their pagan holidays good. They call their terrible marriage with a 60% divorce rate and women filing 90% of the time, they call that good. No, that's evil. And they call what Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did evil. Oh, that's terrible. Having wives and concubines. Or they call the laws of his terrible. Oh, no, we can't live with honest money. We need to have this stupid financial system. And they bomb people around the world to get their oil. They steal their children. They do all this evil, and they call it good. It's the craziest thing. And most of their friends and family think it's good. They think it's good. It's good to do evil. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, that justify the wicked, take away reward. And 24, the fire shall devour the stubble, and the flame consumes the chaff. And he tells you why again in verse 24. Because they have cast away the law of Yahuwah of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. They despise the word of the Holy One of Israel. They despise it. Christians despise it. They don't want to keep the Sabbath. They don't want to keep his holy days. They don't want to deal honestly with each other. They want to steal, have a little larceny. See if they can't oppress somebody and get one over on them. Get a good deal. I'll make you a good deal. 25, therefore the anger of Yahuwah is kindled against his people. His hand is stretched out. This is all about the same thing. Stretched out to smash them. And this is what's coming. He's going to whistle for them from the ends of the earth. Behold, come with speed. Verse 26. None shall we be weary or stumble. 28. Whose arrows are sharp. These are the guys coming for you. And they're bent, and their horses swift like a whirlwind. He goes down through it. This is who's coming. And it shall be in that day that shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. Oh boy, this is what's coming for America. This is the same, he's describing the same events as Ezekiel's describing. And it goes on. It's astonishing that they see the same things. Really fascinating. Going on, Yahuwah sitting upon his throne, chapter 6. Holy, holy is Yahuwah of hosts, the whole earth is full of his glory. And he goes down, go and tell this people. This is verse 8 and 9 and 10. Whom shall I send, and whom will go for us? And they said, Here am I, send me. And he said, Go tell this people, hear you indeed, and understand not. See you indeed, and perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat. Make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart. So he's saying to go close their eyes, and he obviously has, because people can read these commandments and do the complete opposite. They can read about, the Sabbath and do Sunday. They can read about Feast of Tabernacles, and nobody goes out and dwells in a tent for 7 days, or very few. Instead, they want to do Christmas, a pagan fertility day. And he says, how long? Verse 11, chapter 6 of Isaiah. Then said I, Lord, how long? Or Master, how long? And he said, Until the cities be wasted without an inhabitant, the houses without a man, and the land be utterly desolate. It's the same thing Ezekiel's describing. At this end time, utterly nuked. People dead. The houses desolate, burned up. This is what's coming for us. Yep, this is how long. How long do I make them blind so they can't see? So they keep doing all this evil. Yeah, they've turned away from his law, so that's what he does to them. And then we get back down into 7, where he's talking about Ephraim, that's the United States, and 7:9 and following. And there's some interludes there with Emmanuel and whatnot. But if you continue on to 8, he tells you what's going to happen too in chapter 8. These all flow together. There's some little poignant takeaways in different spots. But he's telling you in chapter 8, write it in a book, Mahar Shalal Hashbaz. This is written this way so that people can't understand it. And what does it? Mahar Shalal Hashbaz means, this is 8:1, quick to the spoil and speedy to the plunder. That's what that means. Quick to the spoil and speedy to the plunder. It means that those Russians are going to come in here into America after they nuke us and be very quick to the spoil and plunder. They're going to be pouring through here fast. And he goes on and Damascus, because that's what it says coming up. Before the child shall have, verse 4, have acknowledge my father and my mother, to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus, which is about to be wiped out, and the spoil of Samaria, that's Washington, D.C., shall be taken away before the king of Assyria, Russia. Yeah, this is what's coming. And for as much as this people refuse the waters of Shiloh that go softly, and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son. Yeah, they refuse to turn back to Yahuwah and the living waters and keep his commands and live by his laws. They refuse. They want the king. They want their Christian stuff. They want their Catholic stuff. He goes on to tell you down in 9, associate yourselves and you should be broken in pieces. So in this battle, it's going to go real bad if you associate yourselves. Big groups of you in your church. We'll see how that's not going to go good for you. For our countries, gird yourselves, you should be broken in pieces. Take counsel together, it shall come to naught. Yahuwah's, this is a destruction for his people. And he says in 13, sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself. Let him be your fear. Let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both houses of Israel. For a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Here's all three again, just like in Ezekiel, all three. And your fear should be of Yahuwah, that he will not kill you and will protect you. Your fear should not be toward your stupid church and your false gods and doing your whatever you've been doing, all the stuff contrary to this law. And he tells you down here, verse 20, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So if your preachers, family, whatever, don't speak according to the law and to the testimony of Moses, if they don't think that this kind of marriage, like Moses had, 2 wives, and Miriam came up against him, remember that? You can read about it in Numbers chapter 12 or 13. If they don't like these kind of holy days, like Passover, like brought us out of the last 430 years was Passover, and killing a lamb, and everybody that had the blood on the door, they don't like that. If they hate that, you know that there is no light in them. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. But the light that they think is actually darkness. There's one in the New Testament about the Messiah says that. And how dark is that darkness? If the light that which be in you be darkness. In other words, what you think is good in you is actually evil. See, I'm good. I'm religious and I'm good. But you're actually doing oppression and terrible oppression to people. If that light that's in you is darkness, how dark is that darkness? Yeah. You'll find that. Well, that's Isaiah goes on in 9. He talks about the affliction when he first lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and Naphtali. And it goes on about the oppression. And it talks about, verse 4, broken his yoke off his shoulder and the rod of the oppressor in the day of Midian. The warriors confused with noise, the garments rolled in blood. This shall be with burning and fuel of the fire. That's us. It's at this end time. It's going to be real bad. And then he goes on talking about Emmanuel, and but then it goes back again. They shall be devoured with an open mouth. The Syrians before, verse 12, and the Philistines after, and Israel shall be devoured with an open mouth. And for all this, his anger is not turned away, his hand is stretched out still, it goes on. Well, that's what's coming. And this is the same message right here in Isaiah. It's also the same message in Zechariah 1, 2, and then 5. If you read Zechariah 1 and 2, it's to the house of Israel, the house of Judah, and the house of Jerusalem. And it says right in there that the daughter of Zion dwells with the daughter of Babylon in the north. And it talks about this great destruction that comes. And it describes the 4 horsemen that are in Revelation. And it's describing the exact same event that Ezekiel's telling us. Ezekiel, I think, is the only guy, though, that gives us the exact timing. When he tells him 430 days lay on your side, and it's a day for a year, and this unrestrained power time, man, I think that goes from 1588 up to 2018. That's 430 years. Once we defeated the Spanish Armada, we've had unrestrained power, and now we're about to get it. Well, hope this has been helpful. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, welcome back. This is session 4, kind of an appendix.